All right, gang. Looks like I screwed up and I am in Denver. It is 3 o'clock in the morning here. It's actually 3:30 and I've screwed up my presentation. So I got 10 minutes in there. So I want to do my best to provide as much energy as I can into this presentation. So thank you very much for your presentation and your patience. And so just so you that you know we are on to this, you're going to have to look over at the tech art stuff. Where is oh, hold on a second. All right, yeah. So download the Advanced Rigging Week 4 PY. This is the Python code that we're going to be following. And the Eng Zangief Week 4. That's going to be the Maya scene file that we're going to be working with. All right, and I said I goofed up before, so I'm going to have to start over from the beginning again. And so we're going to be working over with advanced basics. In other words, we've got if IKFK wasn't good enough, the industry still wants you to know all these and be able to program them. Yes, we're going to include Spline Spine. And this is what all has to be done before IKFK. We got to be able to do uniform scaling. Okay, we're going to go right into that real quick. We're going to do some wrist roll, and then we're going to show reverse foot IK. All right, uniform scaling. Let's go and take a look at Zangief and see what this is going to be done immediately. All right, so here I've got here on the make character function, and on the make character function we see that number one is still available. That is where we make the FK controls, and then we have the make uniform scaling, and this is where we're going to make that happen. And I'm going to undo this. All right, and then I'm going to hide Zangief, and then so let's let this go. All right, and so what happens here is we have the control root, which is the main control object, and now if I grab and hold on this, you'll see that the character scales when I move right around the scale root. All right, so that's nice and simple. So let's see, how did we do that? Let's go ahead and do this by hand. All right, I'm going to go and comment that self-uniform scale, and then I'm going to execute this. All right, so there's our control root. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unparent that just so it's off on its own. And we know that there's some kind of separation. And then the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my root, open my root joint, and look at the IK pelvis. I'm going to parent it to itself. I'm going to create a self group around it. So I'm going to click that and click on group. And notice that the group says I'm going to call this skeleton group. So I'm going to double click that, call it skeleton underscore group. All right, we've got the skeleton group. And now notice that when I grab the skeleton root and I scale the skeleton group, the character scales right along with it. So we know where we're going, but we don't have this quite hooked up to the control character. So with that, I'm going to shift select the control root, control select the skeleton group, and then I'm going to come over here to constraint to scale, and that was now, and now it's been, the scale has been constrained. Now when we move the control root, then we move this character skeleton right along. So this is it, gang. It's really pretty simple and easy to implement, but it's one of those things that it's tricky to pull off if you've never done it before. Okay, I'm going to undo this. All right, good. Now I'm going to uncork the uniform scaling. All right, so now we have the uniform scaling, and this will work. Just to demonstrate that it does work, I'm going to select this and enter. And now when we grab the control root, which is right here, I can move this right along. All right, great. All right, so let's go and find the code for make uniform scaling. It should be near the bottom here. Okay, there's the reverse foot. Make the spline spine. Make the circle control of spline clusters. Okay, there it is. Make uniform scaling. Okay, not a whole lot here. I'm going to go and uncomment most of this, or I'm going to comment it out. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so on the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to call the make uniform. I'm going to send it the first joint, which is going to be the pelvis. I'm going to show its control that we're going to be constraining it to, and then we're going to show the name, and in this case it's just going to call the skeleton. And so I'm going to create the parent name. I'm going to list the parent of my joint, and that's going to be the parent name, and that's all that is going to be doing to it. All right, so then once we've got that done, we've got the name, let's go ahead and create our joint group. I'm going to go and just put this in here. 1, 2, 3. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create first the joint, and all we're going to do is we're going to take our hip, and then we're going to parent it to itself and give it the new name. So let's go ahead and do this. Okay, so there it is, the skeleton group. Now you're wondering, why did it suddenly go off here in La La Land? Well, whenever you take a new group and you create a new group, it automatically sends it to the origin and it unparents it. So what do you got to do? You got to reparent it back up into the thing, and that's what we're going to do next. Is we're going to parent it back into the chain here. So the next two statements here, we're going to be parenting it to the parent group, and then we're going to parent the children back into it. And so in other words, right after we do the create a new group inside a thing, we have to put it back into the chain. All right, so there, if we look under and cork open the root, we see the IK pelvis, the skeleton group is right there, and everything is back in order. And so the last thing to do would be to constrain it to its parent control object, and we're going to do that to our control root. And so I'm just going to uncomment out these last few statements. All right, and we're going to try this. Right, and when I hit enter. All right, and there is our control root. And then now all we have to do is scale it and move it around. Okay, not really too complex, huh, gang? All right, so what is next on the itinerary? All right, now here is one of the more bodacious things that we're going to be covering today. So we've got the uniform scaling, yep, and there's all the code. This is the spline IK. So this is a very this is going to require a very dense joint change, so that means your spine should be at least 7 to 8 joints long, and the first 2 joints should be fairly close to each other. And the reason for that is when you're dealing with splines, you want to put the first 2 spline attachments somewhat close to each other, and that is to make sure that the spline works. And then you're going to want to rename the joints to be something that makes sense, like IK pelvis, IK spine 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Okay, so let's see how this is going. We're going to first create the IK spline handle. And all right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to reset the tool. We're going to select the first the back joint, that would be the pelvis. We're going to select the last back joint, and then we'll see that the spline spine gets created. All right, let's check this out. Okay, we're up here. Now let's notice that we are going to go in here and create the, here it is, create the spline spine. So I'm going to move this all down. Got to delete this. All right, and then I'm going to put this right underneath here. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to comment out the spline spine. Well, let's just show you what the spline spine is going to look like before we actually go ahead and launch this. I'm going to go here. All right, look at this, gang. This is what we're going to create. Notice that we've got this bow here. And so when we move this, or when we move this hip around, this moves the whole character, and which is doing exactly what we would expect it to. But when we move just the hips right here, the character starts to do the hula hoop. All right, we can grab the top shoulders. We can move the top around, and that kind of moves things around as well. And likewise, if we move the middle, then we start moving the middle around. Okay, people are wondering, okay, why are the feet moving around? It's because right now they're the controls, so you're probably going to want to put the IK, FK on the feet, and it'll prevent the feet from moving around. All right, so how do we go about creating this? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to comment out this statement. I'm going to want to turn off the spline spine. All right. Enter that. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is cork that open. Okay, we've got the IK pelvis all the way up to IK spine 9. And how do we do this? Let's go ahead into our skeleton, and we're going to create IK spline handle. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. And we're going to leave everything, reset to this auto parent curve. Oh, wait, we did have to do one thing, and what was that? We're going to have to put auto parent curve to be false. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn that to be false. Turn that off. All right, so what we're going to do is first select the IK pelvis, and then we're going to control select the last spine, and then that created it right away. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hide this, and so let's show only the, let's see, display, render path, show it isolated, lighting view. Okay. Well, anyway, this golden section, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and hide the joints. Let me go ahead, show, display. Okay, yeah, so play blast, isolated, play blast display. I'm going to turn off the joints. Oh, come on. Oh, well, that's not it. Okay, so view along axis. You have to excuse me, it's late. It's really late here. All right. X-ray joints. Will you turn that off? Nope. Shading the X-ray joints. Okay, well, hopefully this is good enough to be seen. I'm going to go ahead and hold on a second. I will check this out. I'm going to pause this real quick. All right, we are back again, and hopefully we are still recording. And let's go back to Maya. And then all you have to do is come over here to the show, viewport, and go on all the here, the joints. I'm going to turn off the joints. And so there we have our spline and then our IK spine right here. All right, so what do we do next? All right, and we see the spline object. Okay, then we turn off all the joints, we did, and then we're going to go into component mode, and then we're going to show all the control vertices. And there should be 4 control vertices, 2 at the top, 2 in the bottom. And then we are going to deform clusters, little C's should appear. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and check to make sure that this works. All right, and we click onto here. And so I'm going to right click and then go to control vertices. And you'll see that we've got 4 control vertices. These are the pink ones. We've got here this one that says U, and this dot, and then this is final dot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift select these two joints right here. And then I'm going to go in and we're going to create a cluster for it. So how do we create a cluster again? And okay, deform cluster. All right. Who knew? So I'm going to come over here to deform and create a cluster. And so that created a combination about the two. So we got that. So notice that when we move this, we've got this little C jobber moving around here. And if we go ahead and move that around, it kind of like moves the lower half of the spline spine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and expose the control vertices again, and then I'm going to shift select the top two here, this one and that one, yes. And then I'm going to go and click on the deform cluster, and then we have the top group. So now we have two groups in here, the lower group and the top group. All right. So now what do we do? We've got that. So I'm going to go and go into the component mode, select make sure this doesn't never overlap. Yes, okay, so we're going to call those into the upper and the lower back clusters. All right. So I'm going to grab this guy. Okay, come on. All right, here's cluster handle one. This is the lower, so we're going to call this one the lower back cluster. Lower back cluster. And then we're going to click this one. We're going to change this one to the upper back cluster. Okay, we've got the upper and the lower back clusters, and then what is the one we want to do some more renaming, and then we're going to call the actual back curve. We're going to call it the IK back curve, and we're going to call the IK handle the IK back. So let's first get rename the curve IK back curve. I'm going to call this IK back curve. And then what did we call the last one? We call it the IK back. All right, we're going to grab the IK handle, and we're going to call this IK back. All right. Fantastic. Okay, hold on a second, gang. What I'm going to do is hold on to here. All right, great. And so what was it that we were working on here? Oh yeah, we're going to create a control curve, and then we're going to snap that to the pelvis, and we're going to call it the lower back control, and we're going to freeze the transforms and delete everything. All right, so let's do that first. The lower back control, come on up. Oh, let's go ahead and turn our joints back on. All right, so we're going to have the pelvis, and we're going to create a circle box. Where's my circle? Flat circle template. Okay, there it is. I'm going to create a duplicate, and then I'm going to unparent it, and then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees, make it flat, and then I am going to just hit the V key. Well, I'm going to put this in the W and hit V in order to move it, and I'm just going to snap it right to the pelvis group right there. All right, and what was that going to call that? Let's look at it again. And we're going to call that the lower back control, and we're going to freeze the transforms and delete it. All right, we're going to swing this down here. And we're going to call this lower back control. And Then we're going to modify, we're going to freeze its transformations, and then we're going to delete its history. All right, we got that going. Okay, what's next? Then we're going to do another snap to the back top. We're going to call this the upper belly control. All right, we're going to call this, we're going to do the same thing. What we're going to do is to the top, to the shoulders. We're going to call this the upper back control. Got my circle. Going to duplicate it. We're going to unparent it. Going to rotate it 90. And then I'm going to move that up. And I'm going to hit the V key so that I can move it along the vertices. And so right along the top joint there. All right, I'm just going to leave that there. Then I'm going to hit the modify. I'm going to freeze its transformations. And then I'm going to delete it by type, the history. And we're going to call this upper back control. Upper back control. RL, CTRL. And we're going to do this one more time. I'm going to duplicate this. And I'm going to unparent it. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Come on, rotate 90 degrees. There you go. And then I'm going to move this right back up to the pelvis, but I'm going to make it look a little bit bigger. So I'm going to scale it a little bit bigger first. And then I'm going to move this right up to the pelvis. And I'm going to snap that with the V key. All right, so it is. I'm going to go ahead and modify and freeze this. And then I'm going to delete its history. Delete by type, history. And what was I supposed to call this again? We're going to call this the body control. All right. Okay, I'm going to call this body underscore CNTR body control. All right, we've got the Denver people making announcements all over the place, so hopefully you can hear me through the Denver folks. All right, so what we're going to do here now is we're going to parent the upper back cluster to the upper back control. Then we're going to parent the lower back cluster to the lower back control. Then we're going to parent the upper back control and the lower back control to the body control. Okay, I think I remember that. All right, let's see if we can do this. So we're going to take the lower back cluster, and then we're going to parent it to the lower back control. All right. Oh, look at that. I misspelled this. I'm going to call this lower back underscore CNTRL. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing for my upper back control. I'm going to parent that to the upper back control. P for parent there. Okay. And I'm going to double check the name just so that it is the same here. All right, and then we're going to take the lower back control and the upper back control, and then we're going to parent it to the body control. We're going to select that third and hit the P key, and then we're going to parent them all together. All right, cross-eyed and painless. Let's get moving along. Then what I'm going to do is select the lower back control. Then I'm going to shift select the pelvis joint, and then I'm going to constrain create a parent constraint, and I'm going to set the maintain offset equals true. So what's this again? So select the lower back control, and then the pelvis joint, and then do a parent constraint. Okay, the lower back control and the pelvis joint, and do a parent constraint. All right. See, this is the nice thing I like about having my notes. I don't have to look at them. and I can look at it in another monitor. I can do this. All right, so we have the lower back control. All right, we're going to click that. And then we have the pelvis. And then we're going to come over here to constraint. And we're going to go to the parent constraint. And then we're going to make sure that the maintain offset equals, what is that? False or true? True or false? Maintain offset equals true. Okay. Okay, so maintain offset equals true. We're going to turn that back on and click apply. All right, so now if we move this, then this moves the lower spine along. All right, that's exactly what we were looking for. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to do is that we're going to parent the parent body control to the root control. Okay. So in other words, we've got our body control, and then we're going to come on up here to our control root right up here. We're going to shift that and then hit P, and so it's going to move that right on up here. And now, so when we grab this and move it around, this moves the whole character around right at the hips. Okay, very good. All right, now what we have to do is create the rig group. And so the IK back and the IK are already controlled by the clusters, so there's no need to expose those to the animators. So then we're going to create a group for the IK back and the IK, and we'll call this the spine rig group. All right. Click these two, and then I'm going to click on these two, and I'll put them into a group. And then I'm going to call this the IK spine underscore rig group. Okay. Very good. We've got those hooked up now. What's next? Then, here's where things get a little bit nutty. We are going to go to the general editor window, the connection editor. Then we're going to set the IK back and then the upper back control. And then we're going to set the rotate Y to the IK back twist. Okay, so let me get this right. We're looking for the general editor, and then we're going to get the IK back and the upper back control. Okay. So I'm going to close this. And so what we're looking for here in the general editor, and we're going to go into the connection editor. Yes. And we are going to look for the, what was that again? We're going to look for the IK back. Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry. But the IK back is going to be the second one. The upper back control is the one on the left, and the IK back, that's going to be on the right. Okay. Okay, so the upper back is right here. No, that's going to be right here. So here's the upper back control. We're going to load left, and then we have the IK back. There, we're going to click on here, load right. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the rotate Y and hook that to the twist. So here we go, rotate. We're going to expose that to rotate Y, and then we're going to find twist all the way down. There it is, twist. Connection. Okay, we made that connection, and so, okay, we got that. So we are good to go with that. All right, good. All right, now what we have to do is we're going to create one more control object, and this is for the middle back. And we're going to create a control curve, snap it to the third or fourth joint, and we're going to put it in the right place. And then we're going to parent to the body control. Okay, and then, all right, so what we're going to do here is let's do this step by step. Let's create a new control curve. there's my circle. Create a duplicate. Rotate it 90 degrees. Nope, wrong direction. All right, and now I'm going to move this up here. And so I'm going to move into about the third or fourth joint here. So I'm going to hit V key and move this around. Oh, yeah, right about there. So it's kind of like right in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and modify it, freeze the transformation. And then I'm going to hit edit. We're going to delete by type history. All right, great. So we've got that hooked up. Now we're going to parent that once it's in position to the body control. Okay, so we've got that. So we've got that. Oh wait, what were we going to call that? We're going to call it the back bend control. Okay. Got here. We're going to call this back bend underscore CNTRL. And then we're going to parent that to the body control. Click on body control and hit P. Okay, so it now moves there. So now when we move that, and that, oh, that's right. And so now it's got the right parenting. And then we're going to parent the upper back control to the back bend control. I know it's getting nutty, so we're going to get the upper back control, and we're going to parent it to the back bend control. P. And now so the spine can be moved from the middle of the back. All right, so now if we click on here, and so there we are now moving the spine around. Okay, very good. All right, so there's the basic nuts and bolts of what we just did here. So let's take a look at how this translates to code. Now that was a lot of steps to do, gang, so we're going to try to go through this as quickly as possible, but we're not going to be doing anything revolutionary because we've seen all this before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to uncomment. I'm going to undo all this. There's a lot of steps. Jeez Louise, this is going to take all day to go through. Come on. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're getting there. Okay. This was a bad idea. I should have just started and moved this from the beginning. This is just way too long. All right, we're going to go ahead and test this out just to make sure that it works. All right, so I'm going to uncork the make spline spine, uncomment that. We're going to select everything. And you see there we have all the pieces. We have the main control here. We move this around. We've got the lower body control. We've got the upper body control. And then we've got the middle bend body. Okay, now how do we go about creating all of this is in the code. There's a lot of stuff here, gang, so hang tight. Getting you bang for the buck here. All right, so let's go ahead and make the reverse, okay, make the spline spine. Actually, that doesn't seem to be that bad. It's actually seemed to take a lot worse than it was. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and uncomment. I'm going to comment out all of these. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here is a modification to the other code that I work. Okay, I said self make IK. Now we've called this before, but this is going to be different, and we want this to be Spline Spine. So where do we have to look for the make IK? Okay, make IK. We're looking for that. Make switch control. Okay, there's the make IK. And so you'll see that I made the make IK a whole different headed about it and say, okay, if we're going to choose spline IK, then we're going to set the whole other thing and then we're going to return a whole bunch of other stuff along with it. All right, so that's all the stuff that we need in order to do the IK spline solver. Okay, so let's go back and look at where we're doing this. So I say, okay, here we are. We're going to try to make that spline here. Make that IK spline spine. Let's test to see if this works. Okay, good. We have our spline spine right there. We got our spine, we got our spine curve, and we can see the bow right there. Okay, excellent. So that's all working. And so I've created a function here called make spline custard. Not make spline custard, make spline custard clusters. Oh, good golly. All right. So really all this is doing is selecting the upper two and the lower two joints. And this, okay, yeah, there it is. Make spline clusters. We're selecting the one curve handle and we're connecting CVs 2 and 3. So these are the upper two. And then we're going to make a cluster out of those. And then we're going to select 0 and 1 and we're going to make a cluster out of those, and that's going to give us the upper and the lower body clusters. And so one thing that is kind of nutty is that when we do this, something weird is going to happen. Let me see if it happens here. Okay, we might start getting things like Maya cannot perform certain behaviors in the underworld. Very strange, I know, but we haven't gotten it yet, but it does this kind of sporadically. But anyway, we've got our clusters now. And so now we can move things along. So we've got our clusters. And then so what we're going to do now is we're going to make our control objects. We're going to make the lower, the upper, and the body control. So I'm going to go ahead and just try to execute those. And so here to make the circle control is a little function that I wrote. And it's going to tell me where exactly to move those. Where's my make circle control? There it is, make circle control. Just a whole bunch of stuff using point constraints. And we're going to make the identity to clean things up and snap it to the right point. All right, so let's test to see if this works. And there they are. There's the lower body, the upper body, and the overall body control. Okay. So what's next? Now we're going to parent the lower cluster control to the, or I'm sorry, the upper cluster control to the upper control. We're going to parent the lower cluster to the lower control, and then we're going to take the upper and the lower control, and then we're going to parent it to the body control. Lots of parenting going on here. Okay, so there we go. We have everything moving along here, and there's all of our controls, and then we have everything parented here. All right, great. Okay, then we're going to make a parent constraint from our lower control to the start joint, and then we're going to take that body control, and then we're going to parent it to our self control. And okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the spline handle, and then I'm going to create a group to itself to kind of clean it up, and then I'm going to move it off onto the move it to the accessories. All right, move that along there. Okay. All right, so we've got everything, and now we've cleaned it kind of everything up. We've moved all the controls along, and we've kind of moved our spine objects to the accessories. So that there's kind of say we don't want the animators playing with those. And are we done yet? Not quite. Hang in there, folks. I know this is long, but this is a lot of steps. But then we're going to create the proper spine twist. And so what we're going to do is this is going to open up the connection editor, and then we're going to take our body control, and then we're going to change its rotate Y, and then we're going to connect that to the IK twist. And then once we've done that, then we're going to make one more circle control. We're going to push that up into the middle of the body, and then we're going to parent the middle control up to the body control. Then we're going to parent the upper control back to the middle control. With me so far, gang? This is tough. So there's a lot of stuff going on here. Okay, here's that. This cannot parent components or objects in the underworld. No one really knows what that means, and if you go and talk to a Maya engineer, they don't really know what it means, but there it is. It's all hooked up. And so the last thing we're going to do here is we are going to return the controllers back to from whence they came. Okay, there we have it, gang. And we have our spline spine IK, and here's our overall body. We'll move that again. There's the lower body control. There's the upper body control. And here is the middle body. Lots of stuff going on here. Lots of things moving along here. So we've got that. What's next on the itinerary? I'm going to have to forward this a bunch of places. Yeah, this is a lot of stuff. Okay, we've got the reverse foot rig control. All right, so notice that our legs are kind of moving around. So we're going to want to try to do is redo the IK-FK, but we're going to do an extra step, and we're going to put an extra IK handle on the foot. And so we're going to start with the leg, and then we're going to have to make sure that not only do we have the foot joint, but we're going to make sure that we also have a ball joint and a toe joint on here. And then when we're going to create the IK handle, then we're going to have to do some other things. What we're going to do is we're going to have to set the IK-FK to rotate plane, which is usual, but then we're going to have to say sticky is true. Okay, sticky helps get rid of unwarranted rotations along the way. And then once we have there, then we're going to select the IK and the IK foot, and we're going to create we're going to call this the IK leg here. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to be dealing with here. All right, so we've got we're going to open this. And so in other words, this is going to make the IK, we're going to create the control head. I wanted to create a control head for the top here. And then here's for the left, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to make a control for the head, and here's for the IK-FK switch for the arm, and okay, here's for the reverse foot. Okay, let's see what this all looks like once we hook this up. Heck. Let me... Okay, so what we've got here is a new control object for the foot. And so I grab the foot object, and so I move it around, and so we have all the other stuff there. Oh, and I forgot to put the pole vector stuff in here, so I'm afraid you're going to have to add the pole vector stuff back into it. Sorry, gang, I kind of missed that. But here's the weird part. Here's the unusual part onto it. We've got this new control, and we've got these 4 controls on here. So if we look at here, click on move the toe tap, then if you notice that we're going to move the toe up and down on here, then we're going to grab the peel heel, and that's going to move the heel up and down while leaving the toe in place. We're going to get the stand tip, and it's going to move up and down on the toe, and we're going to get the heel pivot, and that's going to pivot up and down on the heel. Okay, so that's basically how we do it. So let's go and take a look at the reverse foot. Now there's, oh God, look at that. There's a lot of steps onto that. And, but we're going to have to go through this, and it's actually, it's not quite as bad as it seems here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to create the IK. So I've got the leg handle, and so here's all the IK stuff on here. So I'm going to go ahead and move this over here, and then I'm going to comment out this stuff right here. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so here we have as our standard IK for the leg. That's basically what we've created before, and like I said, sorry folks, I forgot to put in the pole vector, so you'll have to put the pole vector in yourself. Sorry, gang. But that's the first thing we're going to do is we make the IK. So let's go ahead and make the IK for the foot. All right, so let's go. Let me have to go. I'll have to show you those piece by piece. And so when you're making the IK for the leg, make sure to put sticky equals true on that in order to make that happen. And then, all right, we've got that happened. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to create 2 more chains onto the foot. We're going to first create the then we're going to then we're going to go and we're going to change that. We're going to take sticky and we're going to turn that to be false. And then we're going to change the solver. Instead of being from a plane, we're going to call it a single chain. Then we're going to create a single chain between the IK foot and the IK ball, and then the IK ball to the IK toe. All right, so we're going to call that, okay, we're going to go ahead and look for that. We're going to go ahead and execute all of this. All right, so I'm going to go over to the skeleton, create the IK handle, and then I'm going to, where it says single chain solver, I'm going to move that to single chain, and then I'm going to make sticky equals false. And then we're going to create a chain between the, let me see, I believe it's between the foot and the ball, and then the ball and the toe. Okay. Click on, okay, reset tool. We're going to move that back into the single chain, and then we'll select the foot and then the ball. Okay, so that created a new IK handle there for the leg. And then I'm going to click on this again, and then I'm going to go from the ball then to the toe. All right, so that now we have 3 IK controls here, one for the leg, one for the first, and we're going to call this IK ball underscore left. And then the third one is going to be IK toe underscore left. All right, so we've got these 3 controls now. Woof. All right, then here's where things are going to get a little bit nutty, so follow along with me the best that we can. We're going to self-group the IK leg to itself, and we're going to call it peel heel. And then we're going to snap the pivot of that group to the ball joint. All right, so let's go call this peel heel. Then we're going to create a group to itself. Edit group. And we're going to call this peel heel. Okay, notice that it's now at the bottom there, and so we don't really want it on there. So I guess if we hit the D key and the V, we can move the point there. Yeah, right. We're going to move that right to the ball joint. So I move the pivot point right to the ball joint, right there. Okay, we're going to call that the peel heel. All right, and so then we're going to grab the IK ball and the IK, but then we're going to create a group for the IK ball and the IK toe. We're going to call it toe tap, and then we're going to snap that also to the ball joint. We're going to grab these two. We're going to create a group for them. And then we're going to call that toe tap. Toe tap. And then it's the toe tap. The pivot point is way over there. We want this over at the ball joint. So I'll hit D and then V, and we're going to move that over here and then go right to the ball joint. All right, very good. All right, we're not finished making our groups yet. We've got a whole bunch more to do. We're going to group the toe tap and the peel heel groups together, and we're going to call those the stand tip, and then we're going to snap pivot to the toe joint. Okay. We're going to grab those two together, the toe tap and the peel heel, and then we're going to call that the stand tip. We're going to put these together. We're going to create a group. And we're going to change the name to stand tip. Stand tip. And then we're going to move the pivot point to the toe. All right, so we're going to hit D and V, and we're going to move that all the way. Nope, I don't want to move the rotation on there at all. No, we do not. Got V, that right around here, there, right to the toe. All right. And then I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to self-group it, and I'm going to call that the heel pivot, and then I'm going to snap that to the IK foot joint, so way back to the okay, so I'm going to create one more group with itself. I'm going to call it heel pivot, and then I'm going to move that way up here. So hit D and then V, move that right up there. Okay, so it's moved way up there. Okay, that's a lot of stuff, huh, gang? All right. Hang in there. So now what we have to do is add a NURBS curve, and that's going to be our foot control. And so I'm going to call that the IK foot left control. We're going to freeze and delete that history. And this is the reason why I wanted you to use week 4, because it's got my foot controls on here. So if I've got my foot template, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate it, and then I'm going to unparent it. And so I'm going to move it off so it's kind of right there, yeah, basically right underneath the foot. Move it up, it'll be about the same level. Okay, so that's okay. Yeah, that would be about right where Zangief's Herman Munster foot would be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and modify and freeze that. Then I'm going to create an edit, and then I'm going to delete by type history. And then I'm going to call that bad boy. And then I'm going to call this IK foot underscore L underscore seed NTR for control. All right, so we've got that control in there. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to select the heel pivot, and then we're going to parent it to the IK foot control. So there's a heel pivot, and we're going to parent that to the IK foot control. Boom. All right, so it is now parented to that. There's too much stuff going on here, so I'm going to hide these templates here. There's just too much stuff going on here. So here's our foot control, and there's our root control. All right, so what do we have to do again? I got distracted by the sound of that. Okay, we did parent the IK foot control. Okay, great. So now we have better control over there. And now all we have to do is set a whole bunch of set-driven keys. Set-driven keys, what are these? Hopefully we'll go and find out real soon. All right, so we're going to set things up, and we're going to first deal with the toe tap control. And then we're going to add an attribute for the toe tap. We're going to set the minimum to 0 and the maximum to 10. All right, so let's take a look at what that is going to involve. Okay, I'm going to hide this temporarily. And so we have our foot control. And we're going to go over here to the attribute editor. And then we are going to click on attribute, add attribute. And what do we want to call this one? Is the toe tap. Okay, I'm going to call this one toe tap. And so I'm going to put a minimum value of 0, maximum value of 10, and then I'm going to click on add. All right, great. So now if we look over here, we see that the toe tap is now available to our foot control. Okay, now how do we set this up? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use set-driven keys in order to drive this node with the rotation right in the toe. All right, so we have the IK foot control and then the toe tap group. All right, so what we got to go here. And so let's go into change this from rigging to animation. And then from animate to key. And a set driven key. And then click on set. All right. And then so what we want to do is we want to grab our left foot control. And then we're going to load driver. But we want toe tap. And then we want our, which one do we want down here? We want our toe tap group to be the destination. So where is the, okay, the IKFK control. Okay, so we got the toe tap group. And then we want to go load driven. Okay, so the IKFK controller, we got the toe tap. And then we're going to rotate X along the toe tap, rotate X. And so we want the first one, the key to be at 0. So we're going to click on key. And then what we're going to do over here is going to move the IKFK foot control, the toe tap, and I'll move that to 10. And then we're going to go over here and click the toe tap group. And then we're going to rotate this to, I believe, 40 degrees. Is that right? No, toe tap attribute, rotate. Oh, it's negative 40. Okay, so I was doing it the wrong way. Okay, so it would be negative 40 here. So instead of 40, it's negative 40. Negative 40. Okay, so that, there we go. And then we're going to hit key. All right, so now what we've got here, now if we click over on the control here, oh, I did that wrong. So here is the IK, oh, here it is, the toe tap. Now here's the toe tap group. Now you notice that I've moved it between 0 and 10, and that animates between 0 and 40 of the toe tap group. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do this 4 more times. For each of the groups that we created here. Yeah, I know this is painful, so hang in there with me, gang. Lots of stuff to go over here. And we're going to do that over again. We're going to do that for the, one more time. We're going to do that for the peel heel. We're going to do that to the stand tip. And we're going to do that for the heel pivot groups. Okay, we're going to do peel heel, stand pivot, and heel pivot. All right, so we're going to come over here to our group, and we're going to go to the attribute editor. We're going to go for the peel heel. Attributes, add. We're going to add a peel heel. Peel heel. That's peel heel. We're going to add a peel heel. And we're going to add between 0 and 10. Click on add. And then we are going to put in a stand tip group. Stand tip. And that's going to be between 0 and 10. We're going to click on add. And then one more group we're going to add to the heel pivot group. Heel pivot. And we're going to change the minimum to -10 and the maximum to 10. So that's a little bit different. Okay, we've created 3 brand new channels along here. We've got the peel heel, the stand tip, and the heel pivot. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to reload our IK foot control. And so we've got all 4 of them right here. And then we're just going to march our way right up the chain that we created the stuff here. So we created the peel heel, and then we the rotate, we are load driven. And the IK foot control, here it is the peel heel. And the peel heel rotate X. We've got that going. Okay, we've got the peel heel and the rotate X. We're going to key that. And I'm going to go to IK foot control. Where's my peel heel? Change that to 10. And then I'm going to go to the peel heel. And I'm going to change that to -40 as well. -40. Okay. Let me see, was that right? Let me check my notes. Oh, I have to do that. I have to do that to 40, not -40. My bad, gang. So instead of 40, -40, that should be just regular 40. So there it goes. And so I'm going to go ahead and key that. So I'm going to go ahead and set my peel heel of my foot control back to 0, and that should put it back to place. Okay, we're going to do that again. We're going to grab the stand tip, and then we're going to grab the stand tip here, and we've got the rotate X. We'll make it the load driven, rotate X. We're going to hit key, and then we're going to move the foot control, and then we're going to stand tip. We're going to move that to 40. And then for the stand tip, oh, let me animate that 40 here. We've got, oh, that should be 10. And then we're going to come over here to the stand tip, and that value should be 40 here. And then we're going to key that. All right, so we see that it seems to be working, right? So if we move here, we move the stand tip, and now move that off, and our character is no longer standing on the tiptoes. All right, the last thing we're going to do is the final heel pivot. So I'm going to click on heel pivot up here, and then I'm going to click on heel pivot here, and then do a load driven. Change that to rotate X. And now we're not going to do that from 0, so we're going to start that off from -10. So the heel pivot, we're going to start that off with -10. And then we're going to put our heel pivot here. And we're going to change the rotate X to -40. And then we're going to key that. Now we're going to undo that, click on the IK foot control, and then we're going to change that to +10. Oh, no. Wrong place. We're going to change it right here. Change that to +10. And then we're going to hit the heel pivot. And then change that to +40. And then we're going to key that. All right. Now if we look at the foot control, there is the last of the heel pivot. And we're going to move that up and down. So that moves that up and down and around. Woo! That's a lot of stuff, isn't it, gang? Okay. So what we're going to do here is we are going to do all of that all over again. We're going to use it, be using code this time. I hope you got a chance to remember all of those moves here. There are certainly a lot of them. But luckily, I've already done the work for you, and it's in code as it is already. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hide Zangief. All right, I'm going to close this. I'm going to pull open my window again. Okay, so we have the reverse foot IK. Let's just test to see if everything is still working. There's my foot with its... Did we do this? We're making a reverse foot. Control root. No. So where's my foot control? Make my reverse foot. Where's my... Oh, I know what I did. I actually commented everything on there. Okay, so it's not going to work. So we've got the IK up there. So let's go ahead. We have to create 2 new IK chains. All right, now I did modify the make IK function on here in order to make a single joint IK unit here. So I did that for the ball joint and then for the toe joint. Let's test to make sure that those working. Oh, no measure scan. Okay, I know what I did wrong. I forgot to unset everything. All right, I'm going to go ahead and comment this out. All right, so therefore we've got all 3 of our IK systems: RK leg, our IK ball toe, and our IK toe. Okay, we've got all those in place. All right, so what we have to do now is we're going to create a group called the peel heel, and then we are going to move it into position so that it's right along the ball joint. All right, let's test this off. And so do we have our peel heel group? There's our peel heel group. and it is now centered at the ball of our joint. Okay, excellent. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to create a toe tap group, and we're also going to put it at the ball joint as well. All right. All right, there we go. There's our commands about cannot compare it into the underworld. Okay, it's not going away. So here's our toe tap, and our toe tap is now at the ball joint. Okay. All right, so we're going to have to do this 2 more times. Woof. We're going to do this for the stand tip group, and then we're going to do this for the heel group. Now, the stand tip group is going to be parented to the toe joint, and the heel pivot is going to be parented to the foot joint. All right, so let's test to make sure that those are right. All right, we've got our groups here. Let's make sure we've got our stand tip that should be pivoted right at the toe joint, and our heel pivot should be pivoted right at the foot joint. Excellent. All right, now what we're going to do is we are going to put the foot control, and we're going to move it into position. Okay, and so all this is for moving the foot control into position, and then we're going to parent the heel pivot to that new foot group. So let's go ahead and jump on down there. All right, so we have our foot control here, and our IK foot is now hooked up and controlling to it. And so now our IK control is now controlled by our new controller. Okay. All right. I did write some other functions around here called make my attribute group, and let's see if I can find out where those are. Make my attribute. Okay, make my attribute. Not a very big function here, gang. There it is. Make my attribute. All it is it makes the attribute inside of here, and then it sets it to be editable and keyable. And so we're going to do this 4 times. We're going to do it for the toe tap, for the peel heel, the stand tip, and the heel pivot. Notice that we set the heel pivot minimum and maximum and set them from between 0 and 10, between negative 10 and 10. All right, so I'm going to click on here. Now, here is our, we've created the 4 attributes here. Okay, now we've created all 4 attributes. All we have to do now is set the set-driven keys. All right, now I wrote a little function for the set-driven keys here. Not terribly big here. For some of you, you might want to create your artist-proof tool to be focused around the set-driven keys. It's your choice. Not a terribly difficult or complicated function, but here it is, a bunch of set adders and set-driven keyframes and some more set adders. Not very, not very demanding. But let's go ahead and unclick these. Okay, so we should have everything all put together. All right, so let's test to make sure that this all works right now. Also looking for all right, there it is. It's all hooked up. And there's our foot control. Let's go check out its channels and test it to make sure our toe tap works. Go ahead and hide this. Does our toe tap work? There it is. There's our toe tap. There's the peel heel. There's the stand tip. And there's the heel pivot. All right, great. All right, gang. We've done a lot of stuff here, and I wanted to go into the candy caning here, but it's starting to get noisy here at the airport, and I'm competing against Delta, and Delta might is going to win, I have a hunch. So I'm going to wrap this lecture up here and then continue it on Wednesday. Thank you very much for your patience. Thank you very much for your perseverance, and I hope that this video is helpful. I'll be around this afternoon. Well, actually, I'm not going to be around this afternoon because I'm not flying until 4 o'clock. Yay! Thank you, Frontier. But anyway, try to contact me through Teams. I should be available. If you need to contact me, I will be canceling all of our one-on-ones a little later today, and we will either cancel or recreate some new ones. I'll be contacting you each individually based on that. Anyway, thank you very much for your patience, folks, and I will see you all again tomorrow.